Pat Bendon and Ihor Gowda from Archbishop O'Leary High School in Edmonton, Alberta. They meet Peter Chase, Tom Harrington, Sekou Reddy, and Jerry Beresford from Gonzaga High School in St. John's, Newfoundland, in the championship game of the national playoffs of Reach for the Top. Again, everyone, I'm Bob Cole, your host in St. John's, Newfoundland, for the championship game today in Reach for the Top playoffs for this year. And as you can see from the flight board behind me, a lot of great teams have been eliminated, and we're down to two now. One from Alberta and one from Newfoundland. And here, with the championship game, is your quizmaster from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Bill Guest.
Thank you, Bob, very much. Hello again, everybody. Nice to be back with you for a very exciting game. This is the game of the year. When this half hour is up, as Bob says, one of these two exceptionally fine teams will be the national champions here in Canada, the cream of the crop. And which will it be? Well, even our fine judges don't know the answer to that question, but they'll be listening to the answers to all of the questions that are asked tonight. Here's Pat O'Flaherty, first of all. Pat is an associate professor of English at Memorial University in St. John's and one of the best boosters Newfoundland has ever had. To Pat, we find this gentleman, who is another distinguished educator. Bob Cures is from Montreal, ladies and gentlemen. He teaches at Dawson College in Montreal, and he's anxious to see the outcome of today's game. And our chief adjudicator is another outstanding educator from Alberta. This is Gene Belay, ladies and gentlemen, the supervisor of English at the Alberta Correspondence School. Well, I hope all of your decisions are very easy ones today, gentlemen. Let's begin with this first question now, and this takes us into the area of sports. Good luck with this 40-pointer. And it's winners we're after this time. Which NHL team won the Stanley Cup? Ihor.
Philadelphia Flyers.
That's not right. The question is Newfoundland's. Which NHL team won the Stanley Cup in the 1971-72 season? Which was it, Tom?
Boston.
That's correct. Try this. In 1972, who won? Yes, Brian.
Miami.
That will not do it. Newfoundland in 1972, who won the World Amateur Ice Hockey Championship? Who was that, Tom?
Czechoslovakia.
That is right for 10 points. Now, in the same year, 1972, who was the World Grand Prix champion? Who was that, Jerry? You know, Ihor?
Jackie Stewart.
No, it was Emerson Fittipaldi of Brazil. He drove a Lotus Ford. And a year later, in 1973, who was declared the Canadian Open golf champion? Jerry?
Bryce Jackson Brass.
That is not right. Do you know, Brian?
Gabe Brewer.
It was Tom Weiskopf of the USA. Well, this next question is a scramble, and it's worth 45 points. Try this, please, anyone. How many articles are there in one gross? How many, Jerry?
144.
That is right. Yes. Okay. The second part of this question for the Newfoundland team now. Now, Newfoundland, we have more here, more about weights and measures. How many gills are there in one quart? How many gills, Newfoundland?
32.
Go ahead, Jerry.
32.
Pardon?
32.
The answer is 8. How many quarts are there in 4 gallons? Jerry?
16.
16. How many feet are there in 10 miles? Jerry?
52,800.
Right on, yes. And how many acres are there in 10 square miles? Jerry?
6,400.
Yes, 645. Well, you did well with weights and measures. Now let's see what you know about singers. This is an open question for both teams. What outstanding singer have we here? Listen, please.
Are you sleeping?
Try it, Brian.
Nat King Cole.
That's not right, Brian.
Do you know if I am by?
Okay, Tom.
Neil Diamond.
No, the answer is Nilsson. Are you sleeping? That was Nilsson. Now, for 10 points, who is this? Listen carefully.
Oh, the prairie lies a
Pat.
Glenn Campbell.
No, it is not. Tom.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Yes, it's Gordon Lightfoot. And he was singing Alberta Bound. Pat, here's the next one. I have a distinct feeling you'll get this one. Listen carefully, please. Yes, Pat.
Elvis Presley.
That's who it is. Didn't take long to get the hound dog. And here's a philosophical song, but what group is it? What group this time? Listen. All right, Eeyore.
Rolling Stones.
Yes, the Rolling Stones is right. Okay, now let's have a Who Am I question here. And this is worth 40 points on the first clue, as you know. Try this. I was born in 1659 in London, England, and although I started a career as a merchant, I soon became known as a pamphleteer and a political journalist. Try it, Jerry.
Butcher.
That's not right. The last part of the clue for Alberta. My most famous pamphlet, called The Shortest Way with Dissenters, earned me a sentence in prison and sometime in the pillory as well. Who am I? Do you know? Anyone in Alberta? Yes, Brian.
Laud.
That is not right. Second clue. Both teams go for this now. I became one of the first English writers of novels, using realism with great effect in my... Yes, Peter.
John Bunyan.
That's not right. The last part of this clue for Alberta now. For example, one of my works is a fictitious history purporting to be the authentic account of a resident of London during the year of the Great Plague. Who am I? Do you know, Alberta? Oh,
Richardson.
no. Next clue for 20 points. Kim Novak starred in a movie based on one of my novels called The Fortunes and Misfortunes of Moll Flanders. Who am I, Pat?
Hardy.
No. Do you know Newfoundland? Say who.
Daniel Defoe.
That's who it is. Well, here's another open question. This one is about battles. I'm going to name the war. You tell me who the combatants were, if you can. Here's the first one. Who were the two leaders of the Civil War in England? Yes, Brian?
Richard Cromwell and King Charles.
No, that's it. Just a minute. I'll repeat this for Newfoundland. Who were the two leaders in the Civil War in England, 1642 to 46? Your question now. Go ahead, Peter.
Oliver Cromwell and Charles I.
That's it, yes. All right. Now, it's open, remember. It's open. What two countries were involved in the 100 Years' War? 13, yes, Jerry.
England, France.
That's correct, yes. 1338 to 1453. What were the two principal countries involved in the War of 1812? What two, Jerry?
United States, Britain.
Fine, okay. And it was between 431 and 404 B.C. Yes, Jerry.
Carthage and Rome.
No, that won't do it. This question for Alberta now. It was between 431 and 404 B.C. What city-states opposed one another in the Peloponnesian War? Your question, Alberta. Answer, please, Brian.
Athens and Sparta.
That's what we want for that, yes. Well, these next 45 points could be yours if you get the scramble. Good luck with this. In the binary representation of numbers, how many different kinds of digits are used? How many, Jerry?
2.
Right on. Second. All right, Newfoundland. We have more about numbers here and the way we use them. You may use your pencils on these, Newfoundland, if you wish. Please convert these numbers to a decimal number. That is 1 having base 10. All right, try this. Here's the first. 2, 1, base 3. What's the answer? Jerry Beresford.
3.
That's not right. The answer is 7. Try this. 2, 3, base 4. Answer, Jerry.
17.
The answer is 11.
Too much.
1, 1, base 5. Peter.
2.
That's not right. The answer is 6. And the final one is this. 3, 5, base 6. The answer, Jerry?
17.
The answer is 23. Well, here come a few short snappers for a change. Try these, please. Anyone? Who was thrown into a lion's den for breaking? Yes, Peter.
Daniel.
That's right, yes. According to the Bible, who was supposedly swallowed by a whale? Who is that, Peter?
Jonah.
Yes, this one for 10 points. Name the Portuguese explorer who was the first man. Yes, Pat.
Portugal.
No, the question is Newfoundland's. The Portuguese explorer who was the first man to sail around the Cape of Good Hope to India.
That's Da
Sethu?
Gama.
That's who it was, Da Gama, yes. Who wrote A Study in Scarlet? Who did that, Tim? That won't go at Newfoundland, please. Anyone there? Jerry?
Pandora.
That's right. Who wrote Tender is the Night? Who wrote that, Eeyore?
Daniel
Try-
Defoe.
I beg your pardon, Tom, go ahead.
It's Scott Fitzgerald.
It was Scott Fitzgerald, yes. What is the first name of Scott Fitzgerald's wife? Anyone? Eeyore?
Zelda.
That's right, Zelda. What is the capital of the Dominican Republic, Eeyore?
Santo Domingo.
That's right. What great explorer is said in the Cathedral of... Yes, Jerry. Try it, please. I'll finish at Alberta. Buried in the Cathedral of Santo Domingo. Who is that, Tim?
Columbus.
Columbus is right. And finally, what kind of a creature is kept in a... Jerry?
Bird.
Yes, an aviary. That's right. Well, sir, let's check the scores. Alberta has 55 points, and Newfoundland is leading here with 175. We'll get on with this big final contest and reach for the top after we break for these important messages.
CBC will carry 4 games in the Team Canada USSR Hockey Series on its entire television network.
Now for more in our championship game, here's Bill Guest.
Thank you, Bob, very much. Thank you. And it's quite a contest, this one, and teams are moving to our assigned question here now. These questions are about lakes in Canada. I hope you know our lakes well. I'll give you the name of the lake, and you name the province or the territory in which that lake is. Now, Tim Black, you're first for this assigned question for 10 points. And what province is Lake Claire? Lake Claire.
Manitoba.
That is not right. For 5 points, Peter, do you know?
Ontario.
The answer happens to be Alberta. Okay, try this, Peter Chafe. Peter Chafe, this is your question. Where is Lake Nipigon?
Ontario.
In Ontario, yes. All right, for 10 points now, Brian Mater, your turn. In what province do we find Lake Melville? Lake Melville.
Ontario.
That is not right. Do you know, Tom?
Newfoundland, Labrador.
That's fine. Okay, good answer for that for 5 points. Now, Tom, this is yours. How about Lake Brador?
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia is the answer to that. Now, for 10 points, Pat Bendon, where do we find Lake Kootenai?
British Columbia.
That is right on for 10 points. And Sethu Reddy, this is yours. Where do we find Great Bear Lake?
Yukon.
That will not do it. Pat
Northwest
Bendon.
Territories.
That's more like it for 5 points, yes. And Ihor Gado, this is yours. In what province do we find Lac L'Orange? Lac L'Orange, do you know?
Quebec.
Right, perhaps Jerry knows.
New Brunswick?
The answer is Saskatchewan for Lac L'Orange. And here's the last one for you, Jerry Beresford. Lake Mistassini is in what province?
Quebec.
That is right on for 10 points, yes. Okay. Now, teams, if you like still life paintings, I think you'll like what we have here now, because we want you to identify the artist who painted the still life you're about to see. First of all, this one on your monitor right now for 10 points. Yes, Tim Black.
Murillo.
That's not right. You know, Peter?
Chardin.
James Peale painted that fruit. Now, who saw this table? Yes, Tim.
Cézanne.
You're right. He got it. Cézanne for 10 points. That was the kitchen table. That came up pretty fast. All right, Tim.
Klee.
No, that isn't right. Newfoundland. Anyone there? No. Peter?
Picasso.
No. Achille Gorky painted the landscape table. And finally, who put these plum blossoms on canvas? These. Peter?
Matisse.
That's right. Henri Matisse is quite right, yes. Well, we have a few facts about Canada. I hope you know your facts. Travel question for a 45-point team question. How many provinces in Canada have a smaller population than the city of Toronto? Pat?
1.
That's not right. Do you know Newfoundland, Peter?
3.
The answer is 8. Only Quebec and Ontario have larger populations. All right. Here's another 35-point team question for you. Scramble for this one. Which continent contains over 40 countries? Which is that, Ihor?
Africa.
That's right. Second part of this now for the Alberta team. Now, Alberta... naturally, this is about Africa and its places. What is the name of the country that is surrounded by South Africa and was formerly called Basuto Land? What's the name of it? Anyone, please? Pat?
Botswana.
Lesotho is the answer. Which 3 African countries have the Atlas Mountains in them? We must have the 3 of them, please.
Algeria, Morocco, and
Okay, Brian.
Algeria, Morocco, and Niger.
No, sorry, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. And what is the name of the lake that is found between Malawi and Tanzania? The name of the lake. Anyone know?
I think so.
Try it, please, Brian.
Lake Victoria.
Lake Nyasa is the answer to that. More